Okay.
I'm comfortable with either one.
Okay, good evening. Welcome. This is the meeting of Tuesday, June 27th, 2017. This meeting is being held in accordance with the public laws of 1975, Chapter 231. An adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by notice sent to the Star Ledger, the local source, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and township website. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could just stand a moment for the for our troops of both here and abroad. Moment of silence.
Thank you.
Roll call. Mayor Stampoulis.
I am here.
Deputy Mayor Vasallo.
Here.
Committeewoman Budzinowski.
Here.
Committeewoman Dubois.
Here.
And Committeeman Huber will not be here tonight.
Okay. All right, we're going to start with some announcements. I just want to remind everybody the meeting, our township meeting for July 11th and 25th are canceled. And the Township Committee will hold a joint meeting with the Board of Education on Monday, July 17th at 6 p.m. in the Media Center of the high school. Following that, we'll have our Township Committee meeting in Town Hall at 7 p.m. We're all good on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, starting June 29th, we're doing Thursday Night Sounds with our outdoor concerts at Town Hall lawn from 6:30 to 8:30. They will include June 29th, July 13th, the 27th, August 10th, and August 24th. So hopefully everybody will come and enjoy that on Town Hall. Also, the electric recycling is introducing expanding recycling of vegetative waste in our township community pool starting July 1st through the 7th at 11 a.m. And we will also be having our farmers market back, which will be on Monday, July 3rd, 11 till 6 p.m. at our new location in Springfield Public Library. Mr. Shahadi, yes. Where exactly in the library? So we just can be clear on that.
Sure, it's going to be from the corner intersection of Mountain and where the DMV parking lot, where the DMV and our parking lot is, from that side over to the front entrance. There's the not utilized front entrance of the library, so that grassy area is where the farmers market's going to be. We have 3 vendors confirmed so far. We've got our Country Farm stand. We've got also a food truck for the first time this year.
Fantastic.
I was wondering if we could do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on a food truck festival
awesome.
too, but we're starting
Awesome.
off with, we've got a food truck. It's a Puerto Rican food. Their business is located in Union, but they also have a food truck, so they'll be coming here as well. And we've got a woman, Barbara's Kitchen. She does jams and jellies, and she's coming. And we also are working on getting a baked good seller.
And Z's going to have a lemonade stand.
I will have the lemonade stand. It's going to be spiked lemonade, but it'll be lemonade.
Okay.
I'll be there.
I'll make
there to help.
You count everything.
I'll make the most sales.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Count everything.
That'll be starting this Monday, July 3rd, if anybody is in town and not away for the 4th of July. Actually, we didn't even mention the 4th of July. We have our 4th of July event, sponsored by Chamber
of Commerce, a number of other sponsors. The information is on the Chamber website. It's going up on our website tomorrow morning and will be promoted.
Perfect, thank you so much. Okay, at this time, we're going to do public comment. Anyone from the public would like to come up on agenda items only, please come forward, state your name, address, and be mindful of our 5-minute time limit. Please come forward, state your name and address.
Yeah.
Chris Capides, 122 Henschel Avenue here in Springfield. I'd like to speak to Resolution 2017-183, the revision of the social media policy. I have just prepared a brief statement that I'd like to read to the Township Committee. I've lived in Springfield for 11 years with my wife and 2 children, and this year we're both enrolled in pool camp, and the kids are having a great time. But I'm here tonight to talk about the importance of having a township social media policy that puts our kids' safety first. Prior to the beginning of camp, my wife and I signed a standard release document giving the camp, and by extension, the Township Recreation Department, permission to photograph our children as they enjoy their camp experience. Yesterday, however, I noticed a photograph and video of one of my children, which was taken during camp by a Township of Springfield employee, was posted on that employee's personal social media pages. Although my wife and I agreed to have our children photographed, we did not expect that any Township employee who happened to attend the camp sessions would be posting pictures and videos posed with Township children on their private and personal social media accounts. That is why I fully believe that it's incumbent upon our leadership to show restraint and great judgment in using Township activity photos on their own personal pages. Now, I know the employee who posted the photos didn't mean any harm. However, it's impossible for a public figure to know who was looking at his or her Facebook page, and the idea that anyone with a computer and an internet connection could not only see images of my children, but could also figure out where they are and what they're doing, it scares me. As a father, my first priority is to always protect my children. And I'm sure every other parent here feels the same way. For that reason, I urge you to ensure that our new social media policy makes completely clear where photographs are taken at township functions, where they can be posted, and more importantly, where they can't be. That would eliminate confusion and ensure that parents know what they are agreeing to when they sign releases. Having a clear social media policy will not only make it easier to ensure that our recreational programs maintain their focus on providing fun and educational after-school and summer experiences for our children, but will also provide an added sense of security. Thank you again for listening to my input. Like I said, I'm a dad. My top priority is always keeping my kids safe. And at a time where we are working so hard to teach our children to be careful with what they post online, it is our duty to lead by example. Thank you very much for
Thank you, Mr. Cavanese, for your comment. Anybody else? Agenda items only? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports.
I move to accept the total amount of payroll and vouchers for the period from 6/14 to 6/27, which is $5,081,115.67.
A second. Committeewoman Bujanowski.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vasallo.
Yes.
Committeewoman DuBois.
Yes.
Mayor Stampoulis.
Yes.
I move to approve the summer recreation personnel as submitted.
I second.
Committeewoman DuBois.
Yes.
Committeewoman Bujanowski.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vasallo.
Yes.
Mayor Stampoulis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with some of our reports. Mr. Lee, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, just thank you to those from the committee and the employees of the town who attended the switch flipping ceremony last night at the Chisholm Park Lighting Project. It was a beautiful night, just a great event, and it celebrated the end of a big project.
It was more like turning the key
Turn-
event,
yeah.
but it's okay.
But thank you. It was a lot of fun to get that done and have those lights on last night. I'll give you the highlights of my report for June, and then I can just touch on the spreadsheet regarding the registration fees and revenue from our sports programs. Starting with the community pool, we had a slow start in the month of May just due to weather. In terms of attendance, it was down considerably from last year, but we just really seemed to be not having lucky sunny days during our 6 or 8 opening weekends. But we made up for it this past weekend, so you'll just note that the check-ins of members and guests was very, very low in our 3 days in May. Hopefully June will be a little bit better. Tonight you just approved some additional summer employees. I just wanted to mention that two lifeguards are on there. At your last meeting you approved an additional lifeguard. We made a focus to hire as many new lifeguards as possible. We increased their salary last year, just an effort to boost our lifeguard roles, and we're up over last year in terms of the number of lifeguards that we have. It allows us to schedule a lot better and be more flexible and just provide more hours to the lifeguards, considering that we are planning on having high attendance days, and also with camp and swimming lessons and swim team, there was really a need for that. So I thought that was very good that we're up over last year. The activities calendar for the pool is one of my favorite parts of the summer to promote. Our activities director at the pool does a great job of scheduling from the activities for the littlest kids to senior citizens. We post that on the website. It's also posted at the pool. And June, even though we're wrapping up now, we had Father's Day events, which I noted in the report, our first float night, water aerobics all this week, and that'll continue in future months during the week. So it's a very active activities calendar, so you'll see the July one out probably by the end of the week. And then just to touch on just a few of the membership categories, what I did this report was I gave you our membership numbers. They're noted by individual, not by membership unit, but by individuals for the month of June compared to last June, and then also compared to the final numbers last year. And you'll see even even this early in the season, we're up over last year in the family resident weekend membership, which is a very popular membership category, and the family weekend caregiver category. We're up over last June, and we're even up over the final numbers last year for the family resident caregiver category. And we're getting very close to meeting our numbers from last year, and I'm sure that by September we'll be doing really well too. So I'll continue to update this chart every month. I hope it's helpful. In the recreation side of the report, I could just touch on, you may have heard about it already, I think it was in the paper, but we received a grant from U.S. Lacrosse in partnership with the Lacrosse Club and also the consulting grant writer in town to provide a lot of equipment for our youngest lacrosse players. These are items that we can loan out to the youngest lacrosse players we're trying to promote in the sport. They won't have to go out and buy it, so we keep it in stock and then we get it back, loan it out again. It was a really positive development for the lacrosse club. We're just trying to boost up the numbers really throughout the entire program, but specifically with the youngest kids because we want them to stay in the sport. So that was good news. And then I mentioned about the lighting project at Chisholm, which we officially opened last night. We were able to now schedule the lights on 2 different fields at Chisholm Park separately. And the girls and women's softball program will be using them a lot this summer, including even tonight. And with our senior citizens, June was another busy month. As the weather got warmer, we took them on some more bus trips. We were in Long Branch earlier this month. We were down in Flemington and Ringo's at a farmer's market and a winery. And tomorrow, the senior citizens are going to the Mars Museum. And we have 3 bigger bus trips that we're registering for now. Monmouth Park, we're doing again this year in a few weeks. Crystal Point Yacht Club in Point Pleasant. And Caesars in Atlantic City for August. So we're currently registering for those. People can do that at the Recreation Department or via mail. Those are the highlights of my report. If you had questions before I moved on, happy to take them.
Just for clarity, because I've had people ask me, and excuse me, and I don't know the answer. Regarding waitlisted children for camp, are they waitlisted because we don't have space or lack of staff or both? And how does it usually work with waitlisted campers? Do they usually get a place in camp? I don't know how that wait list works.
Sure. When our camp registration process started in February with the pool brochure and really up until now, we did advertise, and it's printed that camp would be open until registration numbers or enrollment numbers caused us to have to stop that. So we didn't put a specific date on it. So it was really based on enrollment. We try to have a certain number of counselors for a certain number of kids. So we closed registration online I think it was about a week before camp was scheduled to start. We did open it in person if we had room in specific grades, but others we did have to put on a wait list because we didn't want to go above our own kind of ratios for safety in the camp. But all along, we've always been checking the wait list if child withdraws. We'll bring.
So is it more of a staffing thing? That did the person who asked me, or
Sure.
a couple of people, is it like staffing? Because then I wonder, our substitute counselors, could they step in and be counselors, or are they only hired because they can only work a certain amount of days or times or anything like that?
So we do group based on staffing. If we don't have enough staff, we cannot expand a group. We do have substitute counselors who can assist us sometimes, but not all the time.
Okay.
But we've also asked for a commitment from our full-time counselors to work 8 full weeks, because that is the duration of our main camp. We're not going to hire a counselor who can work 1 week here, 1 week there. They have to be a substitute. And in turn, we're not going to put a substitute counselor in a group to expand the group when we don't think that counselor can be there on a daily basis. It's just not safe for the kids, for the group. I've had conversations with parents last week. My colleagues have. So we are working on it. We know that parents need to have a place for their children to be, but a week before camp, we just didn't feel like it was proper for us to expand a group beyond where we already allocated counselors for.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to check because people asking, I didn't have the answer, so I didn't want to mislead them or give them wrong information.
If they call the recreation department, we can put them on our wait list. We can see if that particular group has space. It could be a certain grade, certain gender, and we'll take them. But if it's unfortunately one of the groups that's completely maxed out, until we assign another counselor to that, we just have to ask for the parents' patience.
And do we continue to interview? Like, is there like a wait for people that want to work? Are we still interviewing?
We are. I mean, you're hiring 3 more substitute counselors tonight. We are referring people to the online application website, so if there are people out there who are still interested in working, we will interview them.
And how does that work with us if we don't have it? The other question that was asked to me is, if it has to wait for approval for the township committee and we don't have a meeting, how does that work if they need more staff and they interview staff for the wait list with the kids? How does that impact the wait list with the kids? Can they be approved without us having a township committee meeting, or we have to wait?
We've got to wait. We have to wait. I mean, that's why I think Adam has, I would say, more than he immediately needs. You've got I guess, call it a reserve.
Of counselors, they're mostly a reserve of substitute counselors, and if we can staff.
Okay.
If
These
we
are
can,
parents that have kids that are waitlisted that are they're asking.
Oh,
me about
okay.
it. Yeah.
So the reserve is basically substitute counselors who cannot commit to working
Right.
the entire summer or every week. Those who can work almost a full summer, we're more likely to hire them at this point because we need them.
Right.
But again, it's really the safety of the groups. If we
Oh, no, I understand.
Yeah,
ratios.
I know.
In my day job, I understand the ratios,
yeah.
so I was just curious
Yeah.
as to how like all that worked.
But that's what we share with parents
Yeah.
when they ask. We just want them to understand that.
I'm sure they already heard, they wanted to hear it
Okay.
again, so I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, Adam, how long is it, what's the number on that wait list so far?
I
Is it
think it's
substantial, or is it like one or
it's
two?
less than it was last year at this time. I want
Roughly,
to say it's
estimate.
maybe 10 kids, but they're in all different age groups. I
That's
think there's
the
3 or
problem,
4
yeah.
8th graders. The youngest groups are our largest groups as well. We have a few of the preschool, kindergarten kids on the list, and then a bunch in between. So.
And those ratios you want to keep low.
Yeah, we have more
As a
count-
kindergarten teacher, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you, I just wanted clarity. And I just want to say again here that the lights look amazing. I was there last night when it finally got dark. And it's very cool that we can light one field and not the other if we don't need to, so we're not wasting energy, and it looks fantastic. There's no spillage over into the street. The playground was lit, which made my 4-year-old very happy when I came out of my meeting that we got to hang out and play a little bit, and it just looks great. So I'm really happy that it's here. It looks great.
Okay. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Vasello, questions? Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Okay, Mr. Betcher, good evening, how are you?
Good evening, how's everybody?
Well, thank you.
Did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
The report, did anybody have any questions on the fiscal report? Do we want to do anything, do we want to refer that to a subcommittee, or how do we want to
I
handle that?
prefer to.
Okay, that's fine.
That's probably better.
No, I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
that we just didn't want to gloss over it
Yeah.
with everybody
No,
here.
probably better just refer it.
Exactly.
Okay. So,
Okay.
who's that? That's
Rich?
you and
Yeah.
Minnie and Huber? All right, so, if you could set up a meeting with those two. And let me know.
I will.
And we'll
I'm all
we'll
about
discuss
meetings,
it.
whenever you need me.
Perfect.
Adam, you
It's
know.
easier that
Yeah,
way at this point. Okay, I apologize, Mr. Betcher, continue.
Okay, Robbie.
Yep.
Okay. Just a little bit on vegetated waste. It continues to be very active. We receive about 200 yards a month. We're still receiving a percentage of vegetated waste in plastic bags. Just a reminder to residents that plastic bags are not accepted by DPW, or especially the compost site where it ultimately ends up. We had a very active month with trees. We pruned 27 trees. We removed 9 trees and 7 stumps. On June 19th, we had a small storm at around 4 p.m. where we lost several trees, causing some road closures on Berkeley Road and the Main Street Bridge. The Main Street Bridge was cleared and opened within 1 hour of DPW being notified. Berkeley Road remained closed for several hours until JCP&L removed the electrical wires from the tree. During the month of May, Public Works planted 30 new trees at various locations around town. There's going to be a second round of plantings in the fall of this year. Residents interested in a curbside tree should contact Public Works. Their name will be added to a list, and trees will be based on availability. We completed several large road repairs on Sherwood and Alden Court, Victory Road, Academy Green, Archbridge Lane, and Nelson Place. We also rebuilt 3 stormwater basins that were not functioning. I don't know if you noticed in my report, there was a recent spike in sewer backups last month. These backups were all caused by disposable wipes. The wipes continue to be a problem for the township, and it's extremely hard to determine exactly where these wipes enter the line. So I started circulating a letter to everyone connected to a section of sewer line whenever I have a backup caused by disposable wipes. And basically, this letter just explains the harmful effects that wipes have on a sanitary system and also the residents in town. Also last month, we had a portion of a sewer line fail on an easement off Mount View Road. I had to set up 2 bypass systems to handle the flow for the entire mountaintop while we worked on a repair over a period of 10 days. I can't really get into the details because it was a long period for the repair, but basically, this was an old transite type pipe that was used back up into the mid-1900s. This pipe was probably put in somewhere in around 1950, and basically the pipe failed because it had exceeded its lifespan, and not for any other reason. So we ended up replacing 650 foot with new SDR gauge 35 sanitary pipe. It's probably the most reliable pipe for sanitary lines used today. I'd like to, while I'm on that subject, thank my crew in my department who did an excellent job, Sam Mardini, who worked alongside of us throughout the whole project, and especially thanks to Calparasso Excavating, who came in at an unbelievable price and saved the town, I'll just say, over $100,000. Wow. So he should really be recognized for that. And, well, I'll just leave it at that. On the recycling side of DPW, we received our Clean Communities grant in the amount of $30,550.98. Combined with our tonnage grant, our total recycling grants came to $76,850.15 for 2016. Some planned work for July. The department, we're basically in full summer mode now, maintaining all township properties, street regulatory signs, repairs, replacement of signs, tree pruning, tree removal, stump removal, road repair, street cleaning, street sweeping, sewer inspection, vehicle maintenance, building maintenance. You guys get it, all right. Also, we're going to be very busy with the 4th of July celebration next Tuesday, where a lot of behind-the-scenes work is done by DPW before, during, and after the event. Anybody has any questions for me? I'd be happy to answer them.
No.
Anybody?
I do want to, since we're on Mr. Betcher's report, I sent an email to everybody about the mulch delivery service that we're looking to create. Just want to make sure there's no objections. If there aren't, then we'll launch it tomorrow. I've already got the payment portal and website designed for it. Tomorrow I just got to turn the button, turn the key, and push the button, and it'll be live. So,
Okay.
All right.
Great. So do you want to explain it? Why don't you tell everybody what it is?
Sure. So we've always provided mulch pickup for the town, free mulch pickup for residents. They could go to the town pool lot and pick up as much mulch as they can carry in their hands. But it's problematic, so what we're looking to do is create a mulch delivery service. DPW would charge a very minimal fee to be able to offset the time and labor, but $50 will get them delivery of 5 cubic yards of mulch. We modeled it off of a number of other towns and counties in the area. Morris County does it, Chatham Township, Chatham Borough, Caldwell was it, I think, or a few other towns that we looked at that do this, and it made sense to me. Calculated the number of hours it would take and how much mulch is available and all these things. It would help us in getting rid of this mulch, provide a service to the residents, and not really have an impact on a negative impact on the DPW. So
Like Uber for mulch.
it's an Uber for mulch. Don't ask DPW for a ride though. They will start as soon as this week, Mr. Betcher.
Yes.
And residents can do it by signing up online under the Public Works Department page. They'll go there, they pay online, they request their delivery. Within 48 hours, it'll come to them. We can't specify an exact date and time because it all depends on their workload, sewer backups, baby wipe cleanup, and they'll try and fit it in between Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 3 o'clock.
Okay,
Very good.
great, thank you. That's good. Okay, Mr. Mardini, how are you?
Great, thank you. I will start with the pool project building. I want to thank all the members of the subcommittee that are meeting every Thursday to go over the design aspect of the project and resolve any issues along the way. I'm happy to say that we are on target as per schedule that Mr. Shahadi presented earlier for this project. I'm working in the back scene with the architect on developing the specs and the notice to bidders, and we should be able to publish the notice to bidders right after 4th of July holiday, and we already established bid opening dates and set a date in a contract to have the project substantially completed by May 25th, 2018. So far, everything is on target. I'm not saying that we won't have any issues, but, thank God, we're good. The PSCNG, they have a delay now in their paving schedule. Unfortunately, they were supposed to start right after the 4th of July holiday, but they are delayed. And they sent me not really a schedule, just a list of all the roads which we knew which roads has to be paved, but they told us that most likely the paving work will not start until later in the month toward the end of July. And hopefully by the next couple of days, I will have a firm dates from them, and I will let the committee know. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we are hiring an engineering technician part-time to help us in the engineering office to do some work, and we received over 35 resumes, of which I almost finalized the review, and we will be interviewing 5 candidates in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I'll present somebody at the next meeting of the July 17 is the next meeting?
Yeah.
July,
Yes, 17.
yes.
7 PM on a Monday.
Yes, thank you. What else we got? We are again on target with the emergency generator at Chisholm. Right now, there's not a whole lot being done because we're waiting for the equipment, and we're expecting the generator and the transfer switch and all the other equipment to arrive in the next 10 days, and then the project should be done 10 days after that. So. Again, it's on target to be done. I said by the end of the summer, but will be done before that. We are also, I'm going to be presenting at the next meeting a proposal for the 2 streets that we received grants for, and that is for Juniper Way and Timber Acres. We will be improving those 2 streets hopefully in the next couple of months or 3 months, and we'll put forth a proposal to you for approval at the next meeting, and we'll start the work right away after that. Zoning was very busy last month. We had a lot of Notices and violations and permits. The zoning officer took the week off this week because he's tired. That's it. Anything else, I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Anybody have questions?
So, you know what, I'm curious, the sidewalk improvement.
Yes.
When you do that, you go out and you inspect all that stuff, correct? And
Absolutely. Either me or Michael or Robbie. We work together, we inspect it, make sure that it's done properly.
all right, because I've heard from some neighbors, so I'll talk to you after.
No. We also hold money at the end, like I'm holding money to make sure that all the miscellaneous, topsoil seeding is done right.
Good, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? No. Mr. Mardini, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Shahadi, do you have a report for us?
Just a few things. I did email you all about some downtown work that we would be engaged in terms of improving the downtown. Just want to say if you've driven down there, you'll see, I think, a significant improvement in terms of what Mr. Betcher's done. It's still, we're trying to put lipstick on a pig here in the Morris Avenue area, but they've done a lot of work in terms of cleaning up the sidewalks, the rusted benches, having some uniformity with the garbage and recycling containers. Their project is the wheel wells. They've also cleaned the corner lot, the parking lot of Church Mall and Mountain Avenue, and removed some planters that have just been overridden by weeds. So I want to recognize them for that. The big thing coming up, Mr. Mardini talked about the pool. Hopefully the July meeting, we will have a 3D rendering by that point. We'll be advertising in the next week or two and going out to bid on the pool project. So the specs should be done soon. Once I get that 3D rendering, I'll send it all to you. You'll see it on the website. And we'll have a giant copy of that over at the Chisholm and at the pool also, so that the members are aware of it and know what to expect. The garbage and recycling contracts are another big thing that's going on this year. So it may seem a little early, we're in June, but the contract ends at the end of the year. And so there's a timeline that I've sort of put together, and I just want to run that by all of you so you're aware. What I'm looking to do, because we always hear that the public wasn't aware and didn't have an opportunity to have input, I did create a survey, I believe last year on the topic, but I'm looking at doing maybe another smaller survey this coming month in July. Put a notice in the Patriot as well that, this is what the Township Committee is going to be considering this year, to send us your thoughts, let us know what you think. Hopefully shooting for the month of July to do that. Have the results compiled by the end of July. Have the bid specifications prepared at the beginning of August, so that way we can get it approved by the Township Committee at your August meeting. We'll then advertise the RFP August 17th timeframe. We will then receive the bids, hopefully by September 15th, give them a month to be advertised. We'll then circulate the bids. I'll put them together in a matrix for all of you, give them to you to review. Hopefully discuss them at the September 26th meeting, and then try and award the contract, by the end of October.
Okay, sounds good.
It gives us a little bit of time with November and December, should anything go wrong or there be any delays. Mr. Betcher, Mr. Mardini, what are your thoughts on that?
Sounds great.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Okay. So just want to put that all out there for you now. If you have any concerns about it, just let me know. Happy to make modifications. And lastly, I'm trying to think, I had one, I mentioned it earlier, but Food Truck Festival. I'm looking to see if we could do a food truck festival in town along Mizell Avenue Park, coordinate it with the county, I've already gathered some information on the food truck associations in New Jersey and all this, and try and do that sometime in the fall. We definitely need some lead time. They are booked throughout the summer and even into the fall, but thought it would be a nice event to bring into the town, bring people from all over the area here, and turn it into a little bit of a festival.
That's nice.
So if you have any thoughts on that, concerns, let me know. If there's any objections, put the brakes on it. But
Yeah, there's usually food trucks though on Mizell Ave, right?
there's
seems
one,
like 2 or
yeah,
3
there's
parked.
been one consistently. They alternate, but there's 1 or 2 over the past few years. It's been the same people. They park right in front of the pond, but I haven't seen them much this year.
No, they didn't renew this year.
Yeah, last year they were there regularly, but since then I haven't. So I'm looking to see if we can get maybe 20 to 30 food trucks all along, Mizell and the back, the parking lot, all along there. They draw big crowds, and it would be. Yep.
What, are we gonna do the whole thing with the band and?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll try and make it as big
I'll
as
DJ.
possible.
I have my phone, you know, just
Okay.
a speaker.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. There's no minutes or reports. Let's move on to new business. We don't have any second readings on ordinance. We do have a first reading for ordinance 2017-11. Madam Clerk, can you please read that ordinance by title?
Yes, ordinance 2017-11. This ordinance amends Chapter 7, Traffic of the Code of the Township of Springfield.
Thank you. I move ordinance 2017-11 as read by Madam Clerk, with publication in the local source on July 6, 2017, with final hearing on July 17, 2017.
I second.
Anybody like that?
Second publication in the local source, July 6, 2017, with final hearing July 17, 2017.
And the only change in that ordinance is under days for Moulter Avenue. The previous ordinance said Monday through Friday, and now it's Monday through Saturday at the request of Chief Cook.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, roll call.
Deputy Mayor Vassallo?
Yes.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bujanowski?
Yes.
Mayor Stampoulis?
Yes. Okay, let's move on to our resolutions. Let's adopt resolutions by consent agenda. If anybody has an objection to include any of these, please let me know. If you like it pulled. 2017-172, 2017-173, 2017-174, 2017-175, 2017-176, 2017-177, 2017-178, 2017-179, 2017-180, 2017-181, excuse me, 2017-182, 2017-183.
Can we pull that one?
Sure. 2017-184. Okay, do you want to vote on those first, or you want to discuss 183?
Whichever you want to do. Why don't we vote on it first?
Okay, a motion?
I move resolution 2017-172 through 182, excluding 183 and 184 by consent.
I second.
Deputy Mayor Vassallo?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bujanowski?
Yes.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Mayor Stampoulis?
Yes. Okay, so let's,
So the reason why I'm going to pull this is I apologize because I wasn't able to, I really wasn't able to review the whole thing. So is it possible, you know, maybe we can, 'cause we've got a couple of things happening with this, maybe we can just,
well, quite frankly, we've had a social media policy that was written months ago. I've emailed committee members numerous times for their suggestions or complaints or issues, and I've not received a response. I did take the liberty to go through this policy and write it up. So it was sent out on Friday. Everybody received it, and I think that we should finally discuss or have a social media policy in effect.
well, I agree, we do need one. And the thing is, I know that, you know, something just came up today, which, you know, I thought maybe we could discuss, you know.
This was sent out Friday.
No, I know, but we just got something today as well. We just got an email today.
So your concern is to wait on this, or?
Well, I really just wanted to, you know, really just discuss it amongst ourselves, really.
I prefer to vote on it tonight.
Okay.
Can you read the resolution by title?
Sure.
Madam Clerk?
Excuse me. Resolution 2017-183. This resolution updates the township's social media policy.
I move to adopt resolution 2017-183 as read by Madam Clerk.
Do I have a second?
I think to Jerry's point, I think I'd like to discuss this a little bit further. If you have an issue with it, I want to be able to be respectful of that. Committeewoman, and if there is further issues, then I have no problem discussing it.
You're saying you want to discuss this further? It was sent out on Friday.
Oh, I know, and I did receive many, many iterations of this policy. I would say probably about 20 in total. And
You've received 20 emails about this?
no, one email with many iterations of the
Okay.
social media
So
policy.
let's move to table this.
Right.
201,
So if
718.
if there are concerns, with all due respect, Madam Mayor, if there are concerns with this particular policy, I would like to give Committeewoman Bujanowski the opportunity to discuss it further.
Madam Clerk, we'll move this.
Then what you'll need is a motion.
I need a
Correct, we move
motion to table.
I'll move
You'll
to
need a
table.
motion to table it
Correct.
until.
I can make that motion. That's not a problem. I'll
Do you
move
need
to
that,
table this.
Mr. Johnson, though, since it wasn't seconded yet?
Oh, it wasn't seconded?
It wasn't seconded,
sorry.
so
Nobody,
if I
I
just
thought
for
Erica
sake of
seconded.
simplicity,
No?
I moved it.
You moved it.
it was
Okay.
only mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if no one seconded, really, there's nothing, I mean, but, you know, I'll be honest with you. If you're gonna make a motion, since it is on the agenda, I do think you ought to have a motion to carry it until the next meeting.
So then it needs a second first.
Yes.
Okay.
Second that to carry it.
Sure.
Fine, I'll second it to carry it to the next meeting, when,
Okay.
actually, when Rich Huber's here.
It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
So the motion to carry until next regular, until July 17th.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to discussion items. Mr. Boyce?
I move to approve the request from Congregation Israel to use Irwin Park for annual picnic on Sunday, August 6, 2017, with a rain date of August 13th from 1 to 5 p.m., as was held last year. Hold harmless and certificate of insurance provided.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions?
Okay, I move to accept the resignation of Matthew Glass as alternative member of Zoning Board.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? We'll accept the Westfield ordinance. Madam Clerk, is there anything we need to do with that?
No.
Okay.
They're just advising.
Okay, well, hopefully you all read all that, so we'll accept it. Any unfinished business? Okay, at this time, public comment. Anybody from the, any public comment on any governmental issue, please come forward, state your name, your address, and be mindful of our 5-minute time limit. Anyone?
Oh,
Yes.
Sam.
Aye.
Barbara Hickey, 23 Alvin Terrace. I just wanted to speak to all of you to mention that the Springfield Flood Mitigation Committee is looking into entering into the CRS program, the Community Rating System Program for flood mitigation, and to help reduce insurance costs, flood insurance costs. You probably saw in your last packet, at the last meeting, which we weren't able to attend, that there was minutes from the prior month's meeting. And you probably will see more in the next month or so. So I just wanted to mention to all of you, if you could just consider that. And we don't know where this all is going and, you know, how it's going to happen and if it's doable, but you will be seeing more of that. So I just wanted to, you know, to come by and mention to all of you, if you can take a look at that. The other thing, just a few things that I do want to mention is the other thing that the that we are trying to do in the Flood Mitigation Committee is we've been trying to do this for several years, and those of you that have been around the last several years are aware of this, that we've been trying to approach the county to have the Milltown Bridge cleaned and desilted. I know, we understand it's a huge project, very costly, and it's been a long time trying to even get the thing off the ground and permits or whatever. But we have been reaching out to some people and to the county. We may also be going to a meeting shortly at the county to ask them if they can assist with starting the permit process. You will see some of that stuff in your minutes, in the minutes as well. So if anybody can help in any way or, support us.
Actually, Ms. Hickey, I'd like to tell you, I saw an article in the Springfield Tap. Apparently, they'll be dredging the pond at Mizell Fields. You might want to, I'll send you the link on it, but you might want to read that. So they're looking to finish it in the next few weeks till sometime in October. So maybe that'll help, or that's a good sign.
Okay, and I also want to mention, I mean, this really, well, it goes to the whole committee, but Diane, probably specifically for you. I know you're a new mayor this year, but in the last several years, what they've been doing in the mayors of the Roy River have been, with the flood season coming up in, August, September, October, should there be a large storm, or a substantial storm, shall I say, the mayors would contact the mayor of Orange to lower the reservoir several days before the storm to help with the water and help us before the impact. Usually it would be the mayors that would contact, and I'm not sure if you're aware of that. You might want to talk to some of the other mayors. I know,
Sure.
Ziad, last year you had helped with that. There was once or twice where we had some storms, and I know you had helped out. Jerry had helped, and other mayors. So I just want to mention that to you. This is not a happy season for us that's going to be coming up, but I love the summer, but I hate the end of the summer. But hopefully, God willing, nothing will happen. But should we have these storms or whatever, it's important that and I know last year when Jerry was mayor, they were trying to get a call chain going, and some kind of an agreement that several days before, when they heard about it, they would actually start doing this, because you have to do it several days before. You can't just do it the day or two before. Forget it. It'll make things worse for us. But what I'm saying is, this is something to keep in mind come August and September, if we should have any heavy rainfalls or whatever.
I agree, and actually for the public's knowledge, I think people should know that we do have a flood mitigation committee meeting. We meet the third Tuesday of every month. If anybody's in a flood zone, to please come. 7:30 is our meetings at Chisholm. We'd like more members, right?
Yeah, and someone on our group put it out on some Facebook pages as well for people to be aware of that. The other thing that I've looked into, as well as the CRS program, is it seems like there's some privatized flood insurance. I've just, we've done some research that's out there, and I got a hold of someone, an agent, that would be willing to come to, say, one of our meetings, or even if we had something here, to explain more about privatized flood insurance. It's a big concern for us, the differences, and we want to make sure that we would get the same protection. And there's a lot to look into, but they could explain some of this. So at some point, when we feel we can get people together, I would let you know, and maybe we could do something with that. And last but not least, this is more of a not a personal, but in my area, I'm on Elvin Terrace, and there's that, I guess, right on Morris Avenue, there's this, I guess, building that sold to this Chinese school or whatever. And there's all this work being done. The ground is dug up, the whole entire parking lot and everything. Does anybody, Sam, would you know what that is, what's going on there?
Yes.
It's like huge, and we're like
They
looking at
applied to
this
the
and we're
planning
like,
board last
Yeah,
year and received their approvals, in accordance with the land use ordinance.
do you know what it is?
It's a Chinese learning center. It's a school for.
I think she's asking about the structure.
No,
that
I don't
was
care about the
installed.
Chinese learning center.
Oh, the
I'm talking about what's
playground
going on
area
around.
and the.
Yeah, it's drainage. It's drainage coming out of the building, because there's a lot of water that coming out of the building, and they, rather than dumping it into the parking lot, they put a pipe and they put a box, and that box is connected to the storm sewer system. So it's basically stormwater that they connected to the existing system.
Oh, it's stormwater that they
Yeah,
connect
it's a
to?
stormwater manhole. It's a chamber. They call it a chamber.
Okay.
Where they connected, they took the stormwater from the building and from the parking lot into that chamber and tied it into the existing storm sewers on the street.
Where did the water go prior to that?
It was going in the parking lot, so they're trying to get it off the parking lot.
All right, but how does that affect us with
It
flooding?
doesn't, zero. It's just the same water. Instead of having it go into the parking lot, now it's going to the
It's gonna go
catch
into
basin.
some, so, okay, I don't know, we're all looking at this, and my neighbors all saying, what is
Yeah,
this? All I
there's-
see is this huge dip hole and everything, and I'm like, I have no clue. So since I was coming up here tonight, I figured I'd ask.
there's no additional water that's being dumped. It's just the same water instead
Yeah.
of going to the parking lot surface and then into the basin. Now they directed it underground directly to the basin.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I just wanted to stop by to ask if everyone if they would just keep that in mind, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Bruce Capides, 122 Henshaw Avenue. Thank you very much for your comments and your willingness to research this again further in this policy. My question is, in terms of the social media policy now, the items that you have in the agenda right now, those are the proposed changes, or is that the policy?
It's tabled at the moment.
So what is the social media policy right now?
The one that's in effect is the existing one from Anthony Cancro. It's a 3-page one that's in effect.
And where is that published?
I don't know if it's online.
It's not online, it's provided to employees and employees only, but it's a public document, certainly can make that available.
Okay, that'd be great, because obviously with my my comments earlier notwithstanding, I still have a concern of where we're going and how we're getting there. And, you know, my comments with the release form, I'm still a parent that's in limbo about this. So if I can get an update, if I can receive, if I can be an assistance at all, please reach out to me, let me know.
I'm sorry, can you clarify again, Chris? You signed a release form at the beginning of camp?
I did. I signed a release form at the beginning of camp.
Okay.
But
I know you mentioned something when you
I
first.
signed a release form at the beginning of camp that, actually, I didn't sign it. I believe it's a waiver. It's you have to sign to not have your child's picture.
It's an exception.
Correct.
Mhm.
But then I'm confused because we have to sign a waiver, but yet on page 2 of the Springfield Pool Guide, there's a statement in there, and I don't know it specifically, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to quote the wrong thing, but it seems to kind of contradict the whole parental consent policy. And again, I'm just confused as to where we are. I mean, it's not just one set policy. Obviously, this has a lot of subtle layers to it because it's town-wide. I just brought to the attention the Springfield Pool Camp because that's the part that was applicable to me. And I think when we're talking about children, it's the biggest portion of, we have a lot of programs, especially during the summer, so it's a topic that we all need to be in tune to along with all the other entities. So I just want to know where we stand in terms of the protection of minors at specifically the camp right now. Like, what is the policy now?
So, to illuminate for the governing body, this was going to be discussed in executive session a little bit later. There are some things to easily discuss. There is, in fact, a release. It's not a waiver. It's not an exception. It is actually a release. And the release does state that permission is hereby granted for my child to engage in the program. I give permission for my child's photograph to be taken and used in local newspapers, online or in print, or any Township of Springfield publications online or in print. So there is a specific waiver and a release, and Adam Lieb is checked in with before the pool season starts to ensure that are all the waivers signed or who has not signed it. Additionally, there is, as previously discussed with Township attorneys in the past, and correct me, Mr. Johnson, if you feel differently, certainly welcome and want your legal expertise. The pool is a public place, and there's also no expectation of privacy at a public place, and there is no exception to minors being photographed in public places.
You're right.
And therefore, there is no caveat here in this case. So that's, we'll discuss that further. Social media policy, whether it's in its 2012 incarnation or the most recent incarnation, does not preclude or prohibit the First Amendment freedom of speech rights of any employee either.
No.
So therefore, this social media policy, the past social media policy or a future social media policy will not affect this and cannot for, again, constitutional reasons. So both from a freedom of speech perspective of any employee and from the fact that the pool is a public place and there's no reasonable expectation of privacy and anybody can be photographed in a public place, that, I think all those issues go to the underlying issue here being raised by the resident. But Mr. Johnson, I mean.
No, you're correct.
So I would just like clarity, just because as a teacher, I'm always cognizant of this, and as a coach, like, I never post pictures of kids in town on my teams without asking their parents first, on my own personal page even. Just, what if it's like a custody issue or something like that? That would be a concern. Not that this is, but in general, if there's no guarantee of, because this is the first time hearing of this at like a public place. Let's say it was a child involved in a custody issue and the parent asked not to be, you know, not to show pictures or whatever, but it's a public place. How does that, how do
I mean, in a lot of cases, you have to deal with it on a case-by-case basis. I mean, first of all, Z is right. You have the First Amendment protection. However, I want to tell you, there are certain exceptions to the First Amendment, and I think you have to analyze
I'm just curious
them.
for my own knowledge, because I've never heard that before.
On a case-by-case basis, and therefore I think with something like that where there's a potential custody battle involved, or things of this nature, that could be carved out as an exception.
Okay.
With the primary concern always being the safety, health, and welfare of the child. That is primary above everything, but there are certain restrictions on that. So we can take a look at the social media policy since it's been tabled, see if there's something we might be able to carve in there to give you a warm and fuzzy feeling, because I do understand, being the father of 5 kids, I know where you're coming from, that I don't think it's asking too much. And particularly now, we have a couple of weeks to analyze this, and whatever feedback we get, if we want to modify it, we'll modify it, sir.
And what I advised Mr. Cavadis and any resident is, if you have objections, to withdraw that permission. Certainly, that is something that you should do. If you've got concerns about your child being photographed, you should withdraw that release.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, even if it's just the township posting it on the township's Facebook page, once it's on the internet, it's public. Anybody can share it. It also allows for the newspapers to do it. So just like somebody can cut out the newspaper article and put it up on Facebook, once it's out there, you can't control how it's shared. So there's no.
But I signed the release under the auspices, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I signed the release under the auspices that my pictures is going to be taken in conjunction with the Springfield Rec Department.
Rec Department.
Okay, and that's it.
Not a personal
And when you
page.
talk about children, that's what the choice is. You talk about open space, you talk about a park, but that's why you have the choice with the minors, okay? Because if I was, you know, I don't have a problem with my parents. I don't have a problem, I don't have a problem with my children being photographed on behalf of the, you know, Township of Springfield.
Right.
I have a problem beyond that, okay? And I want them to be photographed by means of the Springfield Township entity.
Absolutely.
Nothing else.
I understand.
That's what my concern is.
So I should just caution you then that the release is broader than that, because it does allow local newspapers online and in print. So again, if the newspapers can take that picture and publish it, then it's out there in the world. So if you have a concern about that, you should revoke the release. But again, that would, you know, apply to the township. It is still a public space, and in a public space, this release could not apply to somebody else coming in there and taking that picture.
Interestingly, along those lines, just from a different perspective, as my day job is working with kids, we have the similar releases in my school district, and sometimes they take pictures of kids for events, but I still would never share pictures of my students on my personal page, just because I err on the side of caution. I don't know if there's a legal aspect. I've just always.
Schools are a little different, though. The schools are a little different because there's custody and.
I just have always been like, my personal page, and God knows I spend way too much time on Facebook, but I would never share other people's kids without, that's just me from 17 years of having.
That's a good practice. Always err on the side of caution.
Yeah, when it's other people's kids.
Absolutely.
My kids, I mean.
Absolutely.
Throw caution.
Well, thank you very much for your comments, and we're going to see it further in executive session.
So, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You're telling me, and I just want to make sure I understand you.
Yes, sir.
You're telling me that a newspaper photographer tomorrow can go on to the property of the pool, take somebody's picture, and there's not anything anybody can do about it?
Based upon what Mr. Shahadi said.
The release, I give my permission for my child's photograph to be taken and used in local newspapers, online or in print, comma, and/or any Township of Springfield publications online or in print. So it allows, the newspapers can, you know, we want to allow whether it's TAP, the local source, the Star Ledger, to come in there, take pictures, it goes on the internet, it's there.
Understood.
Right.
I understand that.
And then that can be shared, it can be, you know, that's the internet we live in.
How does that media release form apply to the Township
I'm
It's a
not,
township pool,
I'm not, well, I mean, yeah, like,
right?
yeah, I mean,
the
it's township pool, it's township property.
It's not a
If that's what
private
you're asking. It's
camp.
not a private camp, it's not a private pool in someone's backyard or something like that. I mean, it is a public open space for activity, for recreation.
It's a public pool.
I mean, I don't think your problem is insurmountable,
right.
and I understand where you're coming from. I just think we have to follow it through to find out what modifications, if any, have to be made.
So maybe we should just modify that waiver from.
Yeah, that's where I think the source is probably the waiver and not so much the social media policy. I think in this situation, sir, I mean, and I'm not trying to criticize or condemn because I think it's a legitimate issue, is I think let's not make the tail wag the dog.
Right.
I think the real issue here is with what Mr. Shahadi has read, you know, into the record with regards to changing the policy, with regards to someone coming in and taking pictures of children at the pool. Point well taken, and I think it'll be corrected.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I learned a lot tonight.
State your name and
Hope Rosenberg, 22 Woodside Road. On a lighter note, I just really want to thank the committee. I really want to thank UZI for working so hard in bringing the firehouse and the building department together. And I just really appreciate all your efforts.
Most
welcome.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We talk about a much lighter note. Here goes.
State your name and address.
Buckle up.
This guy.
William Sinkowitz, 21 Walnut Court, Springfield, of course. I'm a member of the Flood Mitigation Committee. I'm backing Barbara 100%, whatever she had said, and I listened to it, but I'm not. And I think it's just dragging, and everybody thinks this is not gonna happen again. I got walloped so many times. I had to drop my flood for content. I mean, well, anyway, I don't want you to cry. Anyway, so I got other things to say. Sam did some special stuff for me today. I want to appreciate what he did. And Robert also, when he's talking about that flood zone in the sewer. Yeah, it's my street. Yeah, the lady next door had it, the whole basement. I mean, so he helped out. They did it. I saw it. It is Pampers, whatever you want to call it, you know. Depends, I don't know, old man depends, I don't know. And they took care of it, but I wasn't satisfied, and I called the health department, and they were supposed to come Monday. And whether they did or not, I don't know, but the fella, Fitzpatrick or something. Michael. Yeah, he said that he's gonna resolve it one way or the other. So I don't know, did he go down in there and get it all out, or how did he resolve it? Did he do anything?
I haven't heard from him, but what we're going to do is we're going to televised the line.
Right.
And the only other thing that I can do is, like I said, I'm circulating a letter to make residents aware of the, you know, the harmful effects of the wipes. But other than that, there's not much I can do.
Yeah, but the thing of it.
Mr. Singlewood, are you referring to just the wipes or the grease trap issue, the grease issue as well?
It wasn't grease traps.
No, I know, but I mean, the comment, grease and the wet wipes are a formula for disaster too.
Oh,
So it's not just the wipes. Oftentimes they get clogged up with the grease, which precludes them from being able to be broken down as well.
Well, the wipes don't really break down.
No.
The problem with
They go all the way to the sewage authority, because I have.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
grease and everything is on Morris Avenue. We went through that last year when everything was clogged. This time, I mean, there is a school there. I mean, ding, ding, ding. They have little children in there. You don't think that they're putting them down the toilet? I mean, Presbyterian, I mean,
It's probably more household.
Mr. Singh, I agree with you that, you know, there's so many possible causes for it, but Mr. Betcher and I talked about it, and there's unfortunately no way to track it down. Unless we start doing DNA samples of everybody in town.
Organization, you think they would lie? Yeah.
Maybe we can remind, I don't know.
Well, that's what Mr. Betcher does. He does talk to everybody along the line, as he said. He sends them letters and he talks to everybody along the line, but.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell where they're coming from, but I can tell you who's on that line.
Right.
Everybody gets a letter, and we're trying to educate them, and hopefully that'll curtail some of the use of it, because, again, they just don't break down, and it was all caused by webs.
Okay, thank you.
I hate to say there's nothing that can be done, but I've researched the issue to try and find what can we do to even trap them or whatever. I mean, you should see the news articles on this from communities all around the
What's
country.
the most successful line of communication we have that people might actually read or pay attention to? Because this has been an issue since before I remember even being on the township committee hearing this, and it's like, how do we keep telling people?
People are gonna do it if they wanna do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I hate to say it. People wanna do it,
And
they
I
wanna
feel
do it.
awful for the fact, because I remember sitting in the audience and listening to this, and I never bought one of those to get her, like, when you hear it, and to hear you have to keep coming up, I feel like my heart breaks that you're dealing with this constantly.
My wife was sending all the people in the health department some of it, so we didn't even go that far. I got one more question, may I?
Yep.
The flagpoles that were, you cut them up, you didn't ditch them, did you?
No, I still have. Oh, good. We didn't say that. They're tucked away safely for in the future when you want to hold one up.
I'm ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Anyone else? Okay. Oh,
I'll take the other two. Mike Bartosh, 77 to the court. Just getting back to the social media thing that was just going on here. Does that pertain to my son, who would be a guest there, that would bring his daughter and my granddaughter, that they would be able to take pictures of them? Or is it just for
we're discussing a social media policy.
The only
within
reason
the
why I
township.
say that is because my son is a federal law enforcement person, and he is not on Facebook. He doesn't post anything on Facebook, Instagram, nothing.
No, I'm fine to answer it. So, Mr. Bartosh, our social media policy is something that we are discussing among the township employees.
No, but what I'm trying to find out is I want to go to the rec department and take that release off of that form that I sent. That
doesn't apply to, that release is for campers only.
Okay.
Everybody else, back to my original point, what I was saying to asking Mr. Johnson, the pool is a public place. Just like walking down the street or going to the mall, it is a public place. There's no reasonable expectation of privacy for anyone there. If a person does not want to be photographed, they can hide themselves, but there is no expectation of privacy. It's no different than a mall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to have that clarified.
That release is just so that way the Township of Springfield Recreation Department can take that picture and do what they would like with it, or that the newspapers can come onto the pool ground and do what they want with it. That's it. Anybody that's not covered by that, it would fall under the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I will have his sign that release.
No, there's no release to sign,
no
Mr.
release.
Bartosh. That's what I'm getting at. There's no release to sign for you. That release is for a camper, unless you or your son is a camper.
Okay, so what if they take pictures of campers and my son and his granddaughter are in the background?
There's nothing you can do about it.
What
It's a public place.
happens if
Yes.
you're at the beach and there are people in the background?
Yeah,
or
it's
at the
exact-
mall, and my
Unfortunately,
children and
there's
family were in
nothing.
the background. Unless there's a particular reason why an individual needs to be incognito. And I'm not even joking about that. If they
No,
were,
neither am I.
If they were, but then that individual would be cognizant enough to know that they'd have to be incognito, not have to be photographed in public.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, let's move on to executive session. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 627-17, whereas Article 6 of the Open Public Meetings Act provides that a public body may hold a closed session, and whereas the Township Committee will during this meeting enter into discussion of the following matters. I believe police litigation.
No,
Township-
we're not gonna,
Okay,
we're
so-
striking, yeah, we're striking litigation, please.
So-
And it's gonna be redevelopment and personnel.
Contract negotiations, redevelopment, and personnel. Whereas the matters to be discussed in closed session are to remain in the strictest of confidence by all Township Committee members in furtherance of their fiduciary duties to the Township. Now therefore be it resolved, matters discussed at this meeting will be released to the public when the reasons for discussing and acting upon them in closed session no longer exist.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Make a
I'll move
motion.
to go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Also, at this time, I'd like to let the public know that we will not be taking any action after. We will be coming out and adjourning the meeting. Thank you.
No pictures.
Who moves of that and seconded it?